our team, our community. This is Condors Town, and this is another Energy Condors connection. Now, here's Erik Fox and Ryan Holt.
What's going down, B-Town? It's Erik Fox here from Energy 95.3 live from my offices here at Energy 95.3. Joined on the other side of the screen, no longer in either a prison cell / hotel room, whatever he was last time. Ryan Holt, got the Condor colors behind you. I'm assuming you're back in B-Town, right?
Back in the office. Happy to be back in the States. Happy to be back in Condors Town, certainly.
Absolutely, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But of course, what we do here on Condors Connection, first we talk about the parent team, the Edmonton Oilers, which there really hasn't been much going on right now because with everything going down, they have the next 4 games postponed right now. So I mean, what's going down with that? And also, I was curious to get your perspective. What does that do for a team's momentum when you got this extended break before you got more ice time?
Yeah, it's interesting. They've only just returned to practice. I think this past weekend had some more COVID cases, so had a game postponed to Saturday. So they've been off for I think almost a week and a half. Going to probably go on 2 weeks by Saturday. So it's something every team's dealing with. I think for the Oilers, I think they'd rather be playing right now just because they've hit a little bit of a skid, and I think anytime you kind of stew on losses, I think it kind of adds fuel to the fire, I think. And, then you start looking at standings and other teams are playing. So they're starting to catch you when they're really not as close as what they would, be normally. So, I think the good news is by Saturday, I think everyone's probably out of the protocol by then. I think there's only a couple players left that, are probably eligible to even get back in the protocol. So, I think every team's going through it. It's just a matter of, how you deal with it. And, we'll see what happens Saturday. But yeah, it's good to at least get somewhat of a full lineup coming up this weekend.
So I mean, let's talk about that because stewing on it, obviously, trying to find where the pieces are that need to click maybe a little more moving forward. And one of those pieces, it's the rumor mill. I mean, nothing's been officially announced, but the word is Evander Kane, who was put on waivers from San Jose and to undo his contract. The rumor mill is saying that Evander Kane is going to be headed to the Oilers. What does that do for the pieces that may be needed on the line to get that momentum back for them?
Well, he's a tremendous hockey player. He's a tremendously, gifted hockey player. He's a guy who, can score 20, 30 goals, in a given season. And because of his contract status, he's likely to be, a bargain value compared to what you'd have to pay to get a 20 to 30 goal scorer either at the trade deadline or in the off season. So that's, that's the bright side when you look at it. And Ken Holland talked about that in his press conference yesterday. And, I think anytime there's, a player of that caliber out there, you do your due diligence and, you figure out if, that's a piece you want to add to the dressing room. And if it's a piece you want to add to your lineup. So he's a guy who's played in a number of different cities, has had success in just about everywhere he's been. And on the ice, that's, what I think the Oilers certainly need. He's a guy who would be on, a top 2 line, certainly for the Oilers. So, if it does happen, that's great for the Oilers. It's also great for the Condors because it means someone is staying in Bakersfield likely. So that's also a positive sign of things. So we'll see what happens. I know Ken Holland talked about that. He talked with his agent yesterday, and we'll see if a deal gets done or where a deal gets done. But someone certainly is going to sign him, just a matter of who.
Yeah, the hockey rumor mill is saying it's just a matter of time. So we'll have to see how that comes into play. Like I said, that definitely does affect the Condors because instead of us having to send maybe one of our top players up to them, they can definitely tear up the ice here. Let's talk about tearing up the ice and change over to the Condors update because, like I said, you were on the other side of the border until, was it yesterday or the day before you were flying back? But let's talk about that series because you were going to do 4 games. One of the games got postponed, so you guys had 3 games. And literally, we talked about this before we went live. Little going into the weeds here. Last season, it was kind of a hard start, but something clicked. Like it took one thing, and whatever it was, that one thing clicked, and then you got them running on all cylinders. From what I saw with the games up in Canada, I'm starting to see that click. Are you feeling that as well?
Yeah, I mean, the team went up and took care of business. I think we talked about it last week. With Abbotsford's lineup issues and movement and things like that, they weren't 100%. But the fact of the matter is you have to go out and win hockey games, and that's what the Condors did. Had that dramatic comeback on Friday, scored twice in the final minute, ended up scoring an overtime goal as well. Probably should have won the game anyways. Had a couple of goals disallowed on Friday night, and then Sunday, really dominated the team from Abbotsford in a 4-0 shutout. So I think you're seeing signs of what made this Condors team really good last year and a couple of years prior, and you're seeing signs of that now. And I think the rhythm of being able to play games is helping this team, no matter what the lineup looks like. And it's not 100% Condors lineup either. There was no Brad Malone, there was no Seth Griffith on Sunday, so it's not 100% Condors team, but the rhythm of being able to play games, I think, is really helping the team right now. And you're seeing it. The team moved all the way up to fourth in the Pacific, is just behind kind of the top 3 teams right now. And big weekend in tap, with Stockton and San Jose coming in this weekend. So great opportunity moving forward for this team. I think they're well positioned. The roster, and anything happens in the AHL, but the roster's starting to solidify a little bit. Some pieces are being added here this week, and I think they finally got the roster the way they kind of want it. And when you have the roster the way you want it, when you're going near 100%, you have to take advantage of those opportunities. And, the Condors weren't 100% going to Colorado. Colorado took advantage and, won 2 games. Abbotsford wasn't 100% this past weekend. Credit to the Condors, went out and took care of business.
Well, let's talk about that, because obviously a big homestand begins this Friday, taking on Stockton, which is the top of the Pacific right now. Very hard team that's really playing really well right now. What does the team need to do and focus on, and how can that momentum continue from the games in Canada into this game this weekend?
Yeah, this is going to be a big test on Friday night, but it should be a good litmus test to where the Condors are. And, Stockton, I think, of any team in the Pacific, has kind of been unaffected by everything that's kind of gone on here over the last couple of months. So, they've had some games postponed and things like that, but their roster really hasn't changed. They've had good goaltending the entire year. They're one of the top offensive teams as well, too. So Bakersfield has done a nice job of not getting into track meets with Stockton, being able to kind of grind out 2-1, 3-2 type of games. Last time we faced them was actually the first game of this 8-game streak for the Condors, where we haven't lost in regulation. So took them to a shootout, and anything happens in the shootout. So the Condors have been right there with Stockton all year. It's going to be a tough test on Friday night. Looking forward to the game, because I think it's a good litmus test for where this Condors team actually is against a team that's pretty much 100%. But we haven't had Stuart Skinner for a good portion of the season, and he makes a huge difference between the pipes.
I mean, we did see Skinner. I mean, you and I were at the game where he flew back, literally flew back, and flew probably up the 5, which thank you, CHP, for looking the other way, possibly, but we won't talk about that. So let's talk about that. How's Skinner been in the pipes, and kind of what are you seeing on the goaltending side for the Condors moving forward?
Yeah, he's just so solid, and he's a guy who, you know what you're getting. I say this all the time about him, but you know what you're getting every night. If you score 3 goals in a game, you're likely, 95% of the time you're going to win it. And I think that gives the team a lot of confidence to go out and to play, their style of game. They know that they're not going to have to get in a track meet with Stockton, to win a hockey game. And they know that, if they score 3 or 4 goals, chances are the team's winning the hockey game. And you could probably say that for most goaltenders, but it's especially true with Stu. I think he's allowed 3 goals or fewer in every game he's been in this season. And, couple that with the fact of, he throws out a shutout every now and again. I think the good part about him is there's nothing scrambly, kind of about the way he goes about things. We have low shot totals to begin with against. We don't allow a lot of opportunities, but he doesn't compound those shots with rebounds and with kickouts and all of a sudden second, third, fourth opportunities. It's usually one and done with him, which makes everyone else's job on the ice a lot easier. When you're only allowing 1 shot, get a whistle, take a face off. Allow a shot, get a whistle, take a face off. Makes everything so much easier. But he's there when you need him big time. He makes those big saves, like breakaways and shorthanded opportunities. But I think he would tell you that he can go even higher too with his numbers and with his ability. So he's come down with a great attitude. A lot of people kind of question, would he be in the NHL full time at this point? And he's not. So what is his mentality now? Is he pouting? He's not. He loves being here. He loves playing games. He loves being on this team. So wherever they tell him to play is where he wants to play, and I think that's a great sign for the Condors moving forward.
We'll definitely have to get him on a future Energy Condors connection, because I think that would definitely be good. He always has such a huge smile on his face, always a great attitude, so always great to see. So we talked about the Stockton game on Friday, but Saturday, we talked about Stockton, who's like top in the Pacific, and then coming up on Saturday, playing San Jose, which is the struggling team in the Pacific. What should we see for the Saturday game?
Yeah, Saturday, it starts a stretch, I think, for the Condors. I think we play San Jose 3 or 4 of the next 5 after that. So, you look at the standings and you look at it again as an opportunity. You're facing a team that, statistically, numerically, whatever it is below you in the standings, is below you in compete level, etc. But the fact of the matter is, last time these two teams met was back in mid-November, and the Condors had a 3-0 lead, midway through the second, and ended up losing, in a shootout up in San Jose. So they let points get away, But I think it's a different Condors team now. But that being said, you have to go out and win the hockey game. So should be a good one on Saturday. It's an opportunity again to continue the climb up the Pacific, and it's a good stretch for the Condors. We play 4 straight at home, go on the road for 4, but then we're home for 7. So 11 of the next 15 are on home ice, whereas I think 15 of the last 16 were on the road. So it's just good to be back in your own bed, good to be back in your own rhythm, in your own dressing room, get back to some normalcy and not have to travel as much as we have been over the last 2 months.
Definitely going to be a great series to watch this weekend. Once again, Friday night versus Stockton, Saturday night versus San Jose, the Barracuda. For anyone who wants to check out the game, what do they need to do?
AHL TV. You can download the Condors app as well too, iTunes, whatever the app store is nowadays, the App Store and Google Play. We've got $2 beers Friday night. We've got gamer night on Saturday. We're giving away those VR headsets, a couple of those at the game on Saturday too. So it should be 2 good crowds and fun atmosphere this weekend.
I have an Oculus at home, so it's a fun thing to have. So definitely try to win that out. And go check out the Condors, man. This is Condors Town. Let's show the love that we all have for the team. So, Ryan, I appreciate the time once again, my friend.
Appreciate you, and we'll talk next week.
Absolutely. We'll talk next week right here with another Energy Condors connection, only with Energy 95.3.